All right. My name is Hillary Proctor. I'm a Director of Technical Services at Making Sense International. And I'm going to talk to you today about taking a very standard approach that we are all familiar with and spinning it around, flipping it upside down to provide us a new perspective and a new lens of building youth's capacity. To give you all a history lesson that probably none of you need, in 1956, Dr. Bloom came out with research that helped redefine how we look at capacity building and the learning process in general. He identified that it has a combination of the cognitive, psychomotor, and affective capacity that was required in order for a human to learn and to grow. He gave way to what we all affectionately know as the KSAs, our knowledge, skills, and attitude. Since then, we have changed this. We've morphed it and we've helped it grow and develop. We've redefined skills to include soft skills. We've helped it narrow in on some of those key bits of knowledge that are necessary. And we've even started to incorporate technology to address different attitudes. But have we gone far enough in our understanding of KSAs? Well, let me share with you a brief story about an experience that I had. I was working in Nigeria with the USAID Markets 2 project, and we were invited in to help build young mothers' capacity to be able to make nutrition decisions in their household. Decisions around prenatal care, breastfeeding, and early child nutrition. So in classic Making Sense style, we brought in all of our experts, all of our stakeholders, our community workers into the room to do a very collaborative curriculum development process and to design this entire outreach. During this workshop, one of the things that we found is we had an entire room of people who had a vast amount of knowledge and experience, spending years working inside of these communities, sharing all of the latest information about modern medicine and modern nutrition. And in a completely unfiltered moment, I asked a question of, if you've been doing this for the last 15 to 20 years in the exact communities that we're working in, why are we still here? Why are we still doing this? Why don't we have the behavior change that we're looking for? And what that question resulted in was an honest unpacking of what were the true barriers that these young mothers were facing in making these nutrition decisions. Well, as it turns out, even though the nurses were doing a great job about telling them about all the nutrition that they needed to be consuming and how they needed to be breastfeeding, the second that these young mothers left the clinic and went home, they were faced with their own mothers and their grandmothers who reinforced the traditional practices that were the exact opposite of what the nurses and the health workers were trying to tell them. And that they lacked the skills to be able to have those conversations, to make those decisions for themselves, to advocate for themselves and for their children. So we were left with this conundrum. What do we do? Do we continue sharing the knowledge that we've had and that we know that is right, or do we start to look at this from a different lens? So we took a risk. We said, what if we do not lead with that knowledge? What if we don't focus on imparting all of those key concepts that the doctors and the nutrition specialists love so much, but instead start to help the young mothers address what are the attitudes that they're facing? What are the perceptions around these concepts that they have, and how do we build the skills to be able to have the conversations and to make those decisions to implement that knowledge? So instead of the KSAs, we put forward the ASKs. All right? And what we found is that this works. Change can happen when it comes from the inside out. When we give young people the opportunity to be able to address their feelings, whether if they're happy, sad, disgusted, angry, and around different topics, and allow them to express it, to explore it, understand why they feel that way, and to be able to build the skills that they need to implement that key bit of knowledge. It does mean that we have to step back, and we don't get to give as much knowledge that we initially want, but we are able to start to have that behavior change that we are seeking. We saw these, in the work that we were doing around nutrition and family health, and we saw the changes that young mothers were able to make. We've applied this with young entrepreneurs and seeing them be able to build a true business mindset that they need for moving forward. And we've seen this with young agropreneurs as well, about being able to get beyond their perceptions of agriculture to be able to see the opportunities that are ahead of them. So my pitch for the round table is come and join us. You get to experience an activity that puts attitude first above knowledge and helps build the skills necessary, and look forward to hearing about your experiences as well and your attitude and perceptions to this. Thank you.